Do you know people who have read all the books, listened to all the audios, and attended all the seminars, but have not implemented anything to positively affect their life? Or let that not be us. Hello, this is Darren Roberts, Master Trainer at Impact Training Corporation and the Abundance Accelerant. Welcome to the Tuesday Tickle and Tick, show number 56. Today, 300 or 1. In this time of home isolation, a lot of us are using that time to learn some things that maybe we haven't learned before. Some business skills or communication skills or sales skills, or some things like learning a new recipe to cook, playing a new instrument to learn, those sorts of things. But what we want to do is to, of course, make the most of our time, but also be able to implement that so that you build a thick neural pathway so those skills can be autonomous as you go forward. So you may not know that we need to hear, see, or do something at least 6 times to retain just 62% of the information. We need to see, hear, or do something at least 6 times to retain only 62% of the information. So I'm going to give you some tips, including the rule of 7, to help you build that neural pathway and make the most of the things that you're learning right now. There's a great saying that it's better to read one book 300 times and implement than to read 300 books and never implement. And I think we all know those people who, as I said, have attended all the seminars, listened to all the podcasts, read all the books, but haven't implemented anything. And knowledge without implementation is exactly the same as not having the knowledge at all. So here's some tips, 5 tips plus the rule of 7 to help you with that implementation. Firstly, read or listen to the same information multiple times. So don't just read a book, put it down, or listen to an audio and put it down and don't come back to it. Listen to it or read it multiple times. It literally develops a neural pathway, thickens the neural pathway in your mind so that it becomes autonomous. Secondly, decide what outcomes you want to have from those learning. Decide what you want to learn, what outcomes you want to have from the book or the audio or the situation you're putting yourself in to learn. And that actually sets up the reticular activation system to absorb into the subconscious the things that you're looking for. It helps you notice the things that are going to help you learn that new skill. Thirdly, be kinesthetic. Write notes, circle, highlight, circle paragraphs to make sure that the implementation is stronger and there's that repetition aspect to build that neural pathway. Fourthly, create an action plan. So take the notes of what you have learned and create an action plan of implementation. Not 20 things to implement, 2 or 3 things that you'll focus on and implement until you've implemented them to the level that you're happy with. Once you've done that, you can go back and add to your list, but not a massive list, just 2 or 3 things initially. And the 5th thing is teach that new skill to other people. You might know that we learn things 5 times faster when we go and teach it to someone else. So don't just keep that information to yourself. Go and teach it to your friends, your family, your colleagues, and you'll actually learn that information 5 times faster and be better at that implementation. Now, the rule of 7, if it's a skill that you're learning, like a prompt or a best practice or a communication skill, or even learning the guitar, and if this is a way that we help our clients to learn and implement rather than just giving the information, because that's not what we want to do. We want to make sure there's an implementation so there's the growth that takes place, is that we need to do things in small chunks. So when you're learning something, create small chunks and do repetition of the small chunks. And then when you've done 6 times and the rule of 7 to 1 chunk, then you can start adding to it. But when you've learnt it completely, there's a neural pathway and you're able to execute that skill without looking at notes, just autonomously, then once you've done it 6 times without making a mistake, then I want you to distract yourself. Go out into the garden, have a different conversation, watch something different, and then come back and do that skill again. And if you can nail it without making a mistake the 7th time, then you've created a great, strong neural pathway, and you're likely to be able to continue to do that skill without having to re-go and learn it. So the rule of 7 is a very strong way of making sure you're not just taking on the information, but you're able to implement it as well. Far better to read one book 300 times and implement than to read 300 books and never implement. If you are looking for something new to learn around business, communication, sales, leadership, I'm going to put the link down the bottom for our free app, the Making More Sales app. Great videos and content, completely free for you to utilize, but make sure you're not just taking the information, using the rule of 7 to create that neural pathway so you can implement that knowledge and have a positive effect. You guys have a great Tuesday. We'll see you next time for the Tuesday Tickle and Tick. Bye for now.